You still have to pay your obligations, yes.
Yeah.
Apart from employees also, you still have, if you had an overdraft facility, if you had a loan facility, you still had to continue servicing it. So we realized also clients were going through a crisis of trying to address, you're not working, you're not going to work, but at the same time, you still have to fulfill your obligations.
This was actually one of the best gifts MNO gave me. I didn't know I had that power. I thought what was written in the paper was done.
It's done.
And if I wasn't going to apply by it, I was either going to close the business or, hey, might even go as far as, litigation.
Hello, friends. Welcome to yet another episode of Just Legal, a podcast by MNO Advocates. I'm going to be your host, Liz Nderito. In this episode, I'm joined by two advocates of the High Court of Kenya, and we have a guest. We'll begin with our guest introducing himself.
My name is Guled Ahmed. I am in FMCG business industry.
Karibu sana.
My name is Terry Otieno. I'm a partner at MNO Advocates LLP.
My name is Daisy Chege, partner at MNO Advocates.
Karibuni sana. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how it's been operating a business under the current economic conditions. We are barely past the COVID pandemic. So we are barely past the COVID pandemic. And we've also, as a country, experienced government changing. We are going through economic hardship. So much is happening in our country. And I'm sure that has obviously impacted our businesses. To start off, we're going to start with Daisy telling us, as an entrepreneur, you are a partner at MNO Advocates. Your experience as partners running the law firm under such conditions.
Yes, it was with the onset of COVID back in 2020. It was quite challenging. It was quite challenging in terms of figuring out how we were going to move on as a business. First of all, there was the quarantine. So there was working from home. As a law firm, we have never experienced something like that, like working from home before. The courts were closed down. And at some point, we started having the online court sessions. So it was quite it's like you are pushed out of your comfort zone or what you are used to. And very fast, we had to adapt. We had to operate. We have to continue running, continue operating, continue running, even with these many changes. So with that comes with a lot of innovations and creativity in how you're going to move forward as a business. The challenges, they're quite diverse. How are we going to reaching out to our clients? Because now our clients are not coming to our offices. They're out there. Everybody's at home. We can't reach them. So we very fast had to get to understand how we are going to deliver our legal services, make our clients feel like we are still here. We are still available for you. So in that way, that's where we realized also we need to come in also to bridge this gap. Already there is this, it's like you have been disconnected. If Guled, as our client, was used to come into our office, there's this contract, there's this thing I need to do. But now, suddenly, so we quickly had to figure out how to move on and what to do from there.
And I'm imagining even the realities of there's no money because
you're not working.
Yeah, for a long period of time. I'm sure very many businesses experience that.
Yes.
A shift in the cash flows, money.
Exactly.
People are not working, but you still have to pay your employees.
You still have to pay your obligations, yes.
Yeah.
Apart from employees also, you still have, if you had an overdraft facility, you had a loan facility, you still had to continue servicing it. So we realized also clients were going through a crisis of trying to address, you're not working, you're not going to work, but at the same time, you still have to fulfill your obligations. So we come in as problem solvers, so we are coming here to offer you a solution. We help you go to your financier and renegotiate the terms and conditions of your facility. And then now you get at least some time to plan and restructure. Yes.
I think one of the other things we also realized is we've already talked about how, because of the economic hardships, it became now quite clear that, money is not coming in, but you have a staff component. How are you going to deal with your staff in terms of ensuring that they probably do not lose their jobs? You still, are running a business where you are able to support your staff. Because for us, this relationship that we have been talking about from the beginning of these episodes, for us, it starts in the office. It starts with our staff. How do we ensure? We were then now asking ourselves, how will we keep the business afloat and ensure that, our staff are still here with us, they don't lose their jobs. So it was it came to a point where now we were sitting down and trying to figure out, are we negotiating these contracts? How are we keeping our doors open and keeping our staff? Basically, by doors open, I mean you're working from home, but your staff are still here. How are we then going to keep our staff here still with us? So the realization of this from the time of COVID and then all these other things that have followed up, of course, then creating harsh economic times, but still trying to figure out how we keep our staff, keep their job, how our staff keep their jobs, basically. So those are some of the things that then we started grappling with.
Yeah. Let, what was your experience?
My experience was very interesting. At the early onset of the pandemic, just before the quarantine began, and I was able to get in touch with MNO, and I had a feeling that something was going to happen, because this story started all the way from China, then it went around the world. At some point, I had a feeling that something might change. So I sat down with MNO team, and they were like, you know what, even as guys, these are some things that might even hit us. So how can we collectively think together and see how things happen? And they were able to put together an opinion for me, which actually was a lifesaver. And they came up with downsizing and humane downsizing and strategy where we should be able to, first of all, hold on to our cash and make sure that we don't spend, and slow down on purchases, sit down and have conversation face-to-faces with our suppliers, and consider and boosting our orders, because things might not go as normal. And at the same time, also deal with them on flexibility of payments, saying, listen, if there are any invoices that are pending that we're supposed to pay, can we structure it in such a way that it does not hurt the business? And at the same time, that can create for you guys some kind of longevity, meaning that the business doesn't stop. And that was brilliant for me. It actually worked. It's what saved the company.
Oh wow!
And we were able to. They were also able to advise on dealing with the human aspect of the business, meaning the employees and the landlords,
Oh yeah.
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 We still had rent.
Yeah.
People
Yes.
forget that.
Yeah.
Businesses still had
Yeah.
rent as much as people were working from home.
Exactly. So we still had rent, to deal with. We still had employees to pay, and we were able to come up with a reasonable agreement with the employees, where in the event that something like that happens, there's a way we can deal with it, like, whether it's from the payment side or whether it's working long hours as we prepare for this. And, Kenya was one of those countries that, reacted a little bit. We had like between 2 weeks to 3 weeks. And as the world closed down, we had like 3 weeks or so to, and deal with the pandemic. So it was crucial advice for me that, hey, I was able to sit down with the landlord, tell him, hey, listen, we have a feeling that something bad's going to happen, but how do we deal with it? And as the negotiations were going on, what we were fearing the most happened. And things shut down. We could not walk around. We could, everybody knows what happened.
Tough times those.
Yes, and it got to a point where even the food in the house is what you're worried about.
Yeah.
I mean, do I have enough rice in the house? Do I have enough sugar? I mean, are the kids going to be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that foresight that came from MNO and their guidance in, hey, listen, these are your legal options. This is what you can do. Actually saved the company. And when it comes to, we kept most of our staff, and we were able to keep our suppliers engaged. And of course, at some point you can't mitigate everything. Some things got us at the tail end, but nobody actually expected the pandemic to last this long.
Yeah.
We always thought it was like a 6-month break or something like that, but things really happened. And I would also like to mention the fact that renegotiating the contracts.
Yes.
This was actually one of the best gifts MNO gave me. I didn't know I had that power. I thought what was written in the paper was done.
It's done.
And if I wasn't going to apply by it, I was either gonna close the business or might even go as far as litigation.
Yeah.
And amazingly, our contractors, everybody was facing the same problems. So they were willing to bend the ear,
They were willing to renegotiate.
Yeah.
And you can see from what you're saying, the renegotiation was in various sectors. There is the financier, there is the landlord, there is employees, because they're also negotiating with their employment contracts.
Yes,
there is service providers, contractors, all this.
At the same time, there's also the customer.
Yes,
Which you also
the
have to
customer.
accommodate, which deals with you as their supplier
Exactly.
as well.
Yes.
Where you
They're also
have-
expecting delivery.
Yeah, so
Yes.
so that was it was 360 degree kind of solution where and I am sitting here with you and partly because of MNO. So
So the pandemic happens, then government changes, and currently we are going through hard economic times. Yeah. So what are some of the things you'd encourage small businesses who still do not see the need of, say, having legal advisory, and also maybe mentioning things that highlight why it's important to, at this moment, have a client like MNO?
I think, firstly, just to touch on what I had said earlier, is, for example, your staff component. If you're a business, you'll require staff at some point. When you come to lawyers and you come to us, we are able to then tell you, do you want this staff as a permanent one? Do you want this one on contractual basis? Do you want this one as a temp? So that you're not maybe fully onboarding all your staff as permanent staff, and you don't need that. There's a way you can slot out your staff, some as contractors and some as maybe temporary staff, and it has all these things have effect on the tax you pay to the government, depending on how you onboard your staff.
Okay.
So that's one thing I think it would be important for businesses to know. When you come to us as lawyers, that's one thing we can help you as commercial lawyers, then help you to learn how to onboard your staff in a way that saves the business money, keeps the doors of the business open, while you still get the human resource you require to keep your business afloat. Yeah.
Also, you've said for businesses that still don't see the need. Well, I think it's this idea you have, this business idea you have, like we had said in a previous episode, it is of value to you. If you value it enough, you're going to put all the resources you need so that at least this business can go to the next level. It's just like the way you need capital to start this business, you also need to consider some of these professional services you will need in order for your business to take off, in order for your business to be sustained and doesn't end up like a statistic. So it's generally you make a decision. What do you want for your business? What are your future goals? What are your plans? Is it long term? Is it short term? And we encourage, no matter what kind of industry you are in, whether you feel like you're still in the Juakali stage or you're still in the informal sector or you want to start a structured business, whatever stage you are in, or wherever you're already advanced and you need to deal with employment contracts, contractor contracts or service provider contracts, you can come to us and we'll be there to work with you, to help you solve any kind of business issue you may have. Yes.
It reminds me of when we were in high school. I don't know where any one of you had this failing to plan is planning to fail.
Yes.
So I think it's very important as a business to engage legal advisory. As Glade has said, how it just help giving him financial advisory and working with him. Okay, this is where we are at. This is what's happening. Consider option A. Option C will work best at this moment for your business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, whatever stage
Yeah.
And
it is.
the other thing I would like to add is there are those periodic emails that MNO sends to you, and they address a couple of things. So, number one, they address any legal matter that is ongoing that you have with them and its status. Number two, and they address if there are any current changes in the law where your industry is placed in, like what you work with in your industry. And number three, which is the most crucial, which is how are you going to protect your data? For example, you have a lot of content either on your phone or your computers or online, and you have a couple of and employees, and how you mitigate the data. How do you protect your employees' data? How do you protect your data? And how you protect and the two of you together as an entity,
I want to emphasize on these times that we're talking about, these hard economic times, and how a business can then set itself up to, live beyond the statistic that you've talked about.
Yeah.
Where something that a business would need, which we have also realized, is extra funds. You'd need to raise capital to keep the business afloat. So this is something we also help our clients who are in business, how then to approach investors, how to capital raise. We introduce them, as Guled had talked about. We have a pool of clients who are maybe interested in something that another client is doing, and they're able to then, send them the funds they require, or partner with them in a way that then you are maybe our client sells off some shares, acquires the capital they need, and then they can stay afloat. So these are some of the solutions that we try to give our clients who are in business, so that during these times, they are able to reinvent themselves to survive until this season passes, because we know that this season will pass.
Awesome. Daisy, you have something to add?
In terms of what Guled was talking about the emails we send out, we've also realized that another aspect of business that is really coming up is data protection.
Okay.
In your day-to-day operations in your business, you're handling data. So how do you make sure you're compliant as a business? So those are one of the areas that currently is an issue that businesses are dealing with right now. And so we are really trying to even going to an extent of training our clients in the requirements that are needed for you to be compliant in the data industry.
Yeah. So you heard it, guys. MNO is the friend you need to walk in this journey of entrepreneurship. And whichever business you're in, or whichever phase of your business you're in, the sector, whether you're creative, karibuni sana. It's been quite an experience. We've had good episodes. We've had a very good conversation talking about entrepreneurship. We hope you're able